Trump triumphant, a second time in the White House. The atmosphere is electric as supporters cheer and celebrate his unexpected victory. Republican candidate Donald Trump has won the 2024 U.S. presidential election. The results have sent shockwaves through the political landscape. He defeated Democratic nominee Kamala Harris, who ran a vigorous campaign but ultimately fell short. Her concession speech was heartfelt and gracious. This victory marks a historic return to the White House for Trump. The White House once again will be his residence and the center of his administration. He is the first former president to reclaim the office after a previous defeat, a feat that has not been accomplished in modern American history. At 78, he will also be the oldest person to assume the presidency. His age brings both experience and questions about his stamina for the demanding role. While official results are still pending, Trump has secured enough electoral votes. He is guaranteed victory, solidifying his place in the annals of American politics. The transition process is already underway. Teams are working around the clock to ensure a smooth handover of power. Trump and his vice president-elect, JD Vance, are receiving national security briefings. These briefings are crucial for the incoming administration to hit the ground running. They are outlining their policy priorities for the upcoming term. Key issues include the economy, healthcare, and foreign policy. The world watches with anticipation. International leaders and citizens alike are keen to see how Trump's return will impact global relations. Trump is preparing to take office on January 20, 2025. Preparations for the inauguration are in full swing, with security and logistics being top priorities. His return to power signals a significant shift in American politics. Supporters are hopeful for a new era, while critics are wary of what lies ahead. It raises questions about the country's future, both on domestic and international fronts. The next 4 years will undoubtedly be a defining period for the United States. A nation divided, Harris and Trump's final appeals. The 2024 election has been one of the most contentious in recent history. The final days of the 2024 election campaign were tense, filled with anticipation and anxiety. Both sides were fervently rallying their supporters. Both candidates made their closing arguments. Kamala Harris focused on unity, emphasizing the importance of coming together as a nation. She urged voters to choose cooperation over division. She promised progress on key issues like healthcare, education, and climate change. Donald Trump appealed to his base with his characteristic fervor. He held large rallies, drawing massive crowds. He repeated claims of a rigged system, insisting that the election process was flawed and needed reform. He emphasized his signature policies, such as immigration control and economic nationalism. Trump faced numerous legal challenges throughout his campaign. He saw declining poll numbers in some states, causing concern among his supporters and campaign team. Despite this, he managed to energize his supporters, who remained loyal and enthusiastic. He secured a decisive victory, surprising many political analysts and commentators. The candidates' messages were very different, reflecting the stark contrast in their visions for America's future. This highlights the deep political divisions in the United States, which have only grown more pronounced. The 2024 election shows the challenges facing American democracy, from election integrity to political polarization. It reveals the need for healing and reconciliation as the nation grapples with its future direction and unity. Sowing seeds of doubt, Trump's preemptive election disputes. Even before the first ballot was cast, Trump was already casting shadows over the electoral process. Donald Trump made claims before the election results were even announced, suggesting that the process was rigged against him. He and his allies questioned the integrity of the voting process, alleging that it was susceptible to widespread fraud and manipulation. Trump echoed his claims from the 2020 election, where he had similarly alleged that the results were fraudulent. He alleged widespread voter fraud, particularly targeting mail-in ballots, which he claimed were especially vulnerable to tampering. He raised concerns about voter registration processes, suggesting that they were not secure. These claims, however, were widely disputed by experts. Election officials and independent experts disagreed with Trump's assertions. They pointed out that the systems in place were robust and reliable. They maintain that voter fraud is rare and that the measures in place are effective at preventing it. Robust safeguards are in place to ensure the accuracy of election results, including secure ballot boxes and thorough ID checks. Despite the lack of evidence supporting his claims, Trump's rhetoric had a significant effect on his supporters. It fueled distrust in the democratic process among his supporters, leading to protests and widespread skepticism. Social media platforms became particularly relevant, especially those with lax content moderation policies that allowed misinformation to spread unchecked. They became breeding grounds for misinformation, where false claims and conspiracy theories could easily take root and spread. Conspiracy theories related to the election spread rapidly, further eroding trust in the electoral process. This online environment polarized the electorate, creating deep divisions and making it harder for people to find common ground. It made it difficult to discern fact from fiction, leaving many voters confused and uncertain about the truth. The path to victory. Key states and shifting demographics. Trump's victory came from a combination of factors. He held on to his base in rural areas. He also made gains among certain demographics, including Hispanic voters and white suburban women. Key states played a pivotal role. Florida, Pennsylvania, and Michigan were decisive. Turnout was high on both sides. This reflects the deep polarization of the electorate. The election highlighted shifting demographics. It showed the evolving political landscape of the United States. Section 5. Global reactions. World leaders respond to Trump's return. Donald Trump's victory sent shockwaves across the globe. World leaders reacted with a mixture of apprehension and cautious optimism. Some expressed concerns about the future of international cooperation and trade agreements. European allies were particularly wary. They remembered Trump's previous stance on NATO and transatlantic relations. China saw an opportunity to advance its interests. They anticipated a more transactional approach from the Trump administration. Russia, under Putin's leadership, expressed a willingness to work with the new U.S. government. However, underlying tensions remained. Section 6. Economic uncertainty. Markets brace for Trump's second term. The stock market reacted with volatility. Investors were uncertain about the future of economic policies under a second Trump administration. Some analysts predict a short-term boost. This would be driven by deregulation and tax cuts. Others express concerns about long-term economic stability. They cite Trump's protectionist trade policies as a risk factor. The global economy is also affected. Uncertainty surrounds the future of trade deals. The value of the U.S. dollar is under scrutiny. Section 7. Social divide deepens. Polarization and the future of democracy. Trump's victory exacerbated existing social and political divisions within the United States. The country is more polarized than ever. This raises concerns about the future of American democracy. Many fear increased social unrest. The deep partisan divide makes it difficult to address pressing issues. These include climate change, healthcare, and gun control. The lack of common ground and civil discourse poses a significant challenge to the nation's ability to move forward. Section 8. The road ahead. Challenges and opportunities for the new administration. The new Trump administration faces numerous challenges. It must address the COVID-19 pandemic. It needs to rebuild the economy. It has to confront racial injustice. It also has to deal with climate change. There are also opportunities. These include reforming immigration, improving infrastructure, and strengthening national security. The success of the administration will depend on its ability to govern effectively. It will have to reach across the aisle. It needs to build consensus. The world is watching to see how the United States will navigate these challenges. Section 9. A world watching. Uncertainty and anticipation on the global stage. The international community observes the unfolding situation in the U.S. with a mix of uncertainty and anticipation. Trump's previous foreign policy approach was unpredictable. It often prioritized American interests above global cooperation. The world is waiting to see if this approach will continue. There are questions about the future of international agreements. Trade deals are also a concern. The global fight against climate change is another area of focus. The actions of the United States have far-reaching consequences. This is especially true given its status as a superpower. The world holds its breath. It awaits the implications of Trump's return to the world stage.